Serena went through his balance court. So, Coach, the East is so tight right now. I mean, you look at the top 6 teams are all within 2 games of each other. With that in mind, how much little room is there for mistakes, especially when up against a divisional opponent?
I mean, there's not room for error. That's why our focus is game to game and the importance of no matter who the opponent is, that we play to our standard. And, it's not one of those things where you can turn it on and turn it off. Again, us being a young team that's just learning and figuring it all out, that's why, we keep talking about how important each test is for us. The expectations of your opponent, the thoughts that they're having. We talk about having empathy for our opponents and understanding their mentality coming into games. And, when things are this tight, you can't have lapses there either. And so I think, again, it'll be another one of those tests for us.
Completely different subject. We've got one of the birthday boys mic'd up tonight, Isaac.
Oh, geez.
What do you think that the broadcast and fans will learn about him that we don't know?
A lot. No, he has grown and is much more vocal, since coming here. And he has a lot of personality. You'll see a lot of his interactions with his teammates and how they solve problems. And hopefully he'll be enjoying himself.
Kelsey Rose of The Athletic. JV, is Jared available?
Don't ask me that question.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. And actually on Isaac, is he really vocal on the defensive end? Because Jared and Evan have talked about how they see what they see on the floor, they kind of try to project to the guards. But does Isaac kind of do that as well? If what he's seen to share with guys on the floor? Yeah,
I think, his thing is more, during timeouts and things like that, because, as he's guarding the other team's top perimeter player most of the time, your focus is on that guy. And you're not in a lot of help positions. So, he does the job of trying to shut this guy down, and he's got to be aware and see screens that are coming and react to that. Those big guys who are the back line of defense, they see all that stuff happening, and then they're the ones who kind of guide and lead our defense.
And then when you face teams, when you saw the Bucks last, obviously they were out with a lot of guys. So when you go back and look at the film, are you more so looking at your system, your schemes, what the Bucks did against you, or are you looking at the tendencies of them when you, kind of prep for games? Yeah,
I think you got to, go back even further. And then you spend a ton of time, obviously, watching them leading up to our games. But, even when guys are out, systematically, teams tend to stay, around the same. They don't change dramatically. So you have a good idea of, how they want to guard, how they want to play, how they treat your individuals. And, the more and more you watch the good teams, they just bank on their best being better than what you can do. So they're not out there every single night changing what they do. There may be small tweaks depending on personnel and things like that. But, for the most part, people who are, the good teams stay pretty consistent schematically.
Thank you.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Hey, JV.
What's up, Chris?
We spent a lot of time over the last week talking about Kevin and embracing the role. When we go all the way back to the offseason, the initial conversations that you had with him about buying into this new role, what were those conversations like?
They were just honest conversations. We've gotten to a point where we don't have to bullshit one another. We can have, face-to-face, very difficult conversations, and they're two-way streets. It's not me always reaching out to him and having conversations with him. It's him reaching out to me, it's FaceTime, text messages. It was one of those things where it wasn't just a one-day dramatic boom. It was a, series of conversations that really culminated, right before training camp. And that's when, he came to my office and we had the conversation. It was never a back and forth or a pushback or a fight. The only thing that he kept saying is he can help the team. If he's playing well, he wants to play. And I think, he's continued to play well and we continued to play him. So all that stuff kind of came to fruition. And, again, I can't give him enough respect for how he's handled it because it's not easy. And we've seen, this fight with, veteran players and up and coming younger teams when they kind of have to pass the torch. It's not always easy, and he's handled it unbelievably.
Like, was there any part of you at the very beginning of that when you first had the idea of making him a reserve? Was there any part of you that was worried that he wasn't going to accept it?
I mean, there's always a part of you. But again, like I felt like our relationship was good enough that he would give it a chance no matter what. I never thought that he would come here and be disruptive or be a problem, impact his teammates, be a poor leader. I never thought that. But you know what I mean? Like guys with pride and who have accomplished things that they've accomplished, there's always an opportunity, for some pushback, but I never felt that it was going to be a problem once the season started and how he was going to react.
And with it being 2 years since Kobe passed away, I'm curious from your perspective as a coach, like what impact, if any, do you still feel Kobe?
A lot, especially in the younger generations of guys who grew up watching him play. The mentality that he had as a player, the ability to will himself and his team places that other, humans couldn't go. You see a lot of these younger guys playing with a larger amount of belief. And the idea of being able to carry loads and carry organizations, I think at a younger age, because of the mentality that they got to see when Kobe was on the floor.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach George Stevenson with the Bucks broadcast. One of the things of note with your team is just the height. Like, you got a bunch of big guys, and the Bucks have a guy in Drew Holiday that doesn't really carry his guard. And he still post up the bigs, he'll take the bigs off the dribble. What do you tell them in terms of if they end up, guarding Drew Holiday, how to just keep him in front and stuff?
Yeah, you got to make it tough on him. Obviously, he's, in my mind, one of the top 10 two-way players in our league, and there's no doubt about it. So it's not an easy way. But what you have to do with him is understand his tendencies and where he likes to go and do the best that you can to keep him away from his tendencies, and then just stay between him and the basket, force him to make the plays over the top of your length and then keep him off the free throw line as well.
I'm good. Thank you.
Right.
Just with this Bucks team, for the first 3 years of Bucks, you were going to see drop coverage, you're going to see Brooks center field, and now they're not doing that as much. They're going to bring Bobby up, they'll bring all this up. How's that kind of change what you expect from the guys?
From our guards or our guys? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said guards, but
okay. No, it's quicker decisions and decisions in smaller spaces, and when you're playing versus traps, the symmetry between your bigs and smalls has to be even that much better. Big guys have to understand angles more to create that space where passes can be made. And then you have to trust your big guys to be ready to make the next play. Because the trap forces you to get the ball to the big higher on the floor. And now there's more space for him to recover or to make the next play, right? Typically, we like our bigs to catch it late and lobs at the rim. But when they catch it on the floor, they got to be prepared to make plays. So it's something that we've seen more and more with our guards. Like, people have been more aggressive towards them. And we trust in our big guys' skill set that they can make the next play.
What have you seen around the league of bigs being able to make more plays on the short ball?
The skill level has increased. I think that's something, I don't know how far, you want to go back, but, the back to the basket big, is almost a dying breed. And now all these young bigs come up playing face to the basket, almost more European style than what had been, typical here in the States. So now that they have those skills, the ball in their hands, it gives them the opportunity to make those plays.
Ashley Baskot, Cleveland.com. We talked the other day about Evan's basketball IQ, how, he came into the league with a higher IQ than a lot of rookies. But I guess just like at this point in the season, more than halfway through, how has he grown still, even in that regard?
It's the experience of going up against the entire league now. He's seen, I believe, every team, or no, we're missing a couple, right? Philly, I think. Yeah. But he's seen the majority of the league. And he sees one, players, and then two, schemes, how people play them, and then, how he can pick them apart and make the next play. It's, different teams, obviously, with him. Some of them want to be more physical. Some of them want to give him more space. People fight his catches in different places on the floor. So learning all those things, and then, how do you counter that? And I think we've seen him be able to counter that really well.
Jason Martin, the Athletic. Obviously, you're trying to win every game at the start of the year 9, but you guys have exceeded expectations so far this year. Is there ever a point where priorities shifted? We've talked about development for years and years and years. Is there ever a point in the season when sort of what you want to get out of this year shifted?
I still think we're a work in progress, right? And I think even when we, initially took over, the conversation changed from, what the old school thought of individual development was, and changed to how do we teach young players how to impact winning? And so that's kind of where we've continued to shift, is like, we took some lumps last year because, we knew we had to do winning things and we always couldn't get them done. But now, we're still teaching those winning things. Now we're making those plays and making those winning habits. And I think you've seen that's been the change in the results is, we've gotten better at making winning plays, and not just, can I work on my crossover? Can I work on my step back? Can I get this amount of threes up? Right? Like, we've really, really focused on teaching how to win.
You got to change. I mean, you could be the coach of the East. That's within shock to you. It probably seemed outrageous in October. Like, just your thoughts on that, and the fact that it's right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that afterwards, you'll think about and look back to. Right now, we've got a job to do that's in front of us. Obviously those are great honors, to be here in the city of Cleveland, et cetera. But like, my focus is on every single game. How do we prepare our guys to be the best? And then whatever accolades come from that, they come. And that's the message we give our guys. It's like, Darius's award, Jarrett's award, Evan's award that they've got individually this year. All those came from impacting winning. And that's the message, is all of us can achieve and be successful and get our individual goals if we can help impact winning.
Tim Elkhorn, Cavs Radio. JB, after the win over Brooklyn last week, you said that's a signature win. Tonight you take on the defending world champs. How important are these games as measuring sticks, as barometers against elite teams?
It's the belief that you can. And I think, once you start to believe that you can, you see confidence in moments when you need it. And for us, again, you got the world champs, almost like the big brother, and the younger brother, the younger brother's trying to scratch his way somewhere, and the big brother's there, always trying to keep his thumb on him. At some point in time, that younger brother, has to throw the first punch. And that's what we're going to try to do tonight, is we're going to come out, we're going to give it all we got. And we expect nothing less from them. They are the champs. And they're going to want their impression on us. I was laughing about it actually today, just thinking about like my relationship with my brother. You know what I mean? Like, I took a lot of whoopings, over time. And, one day I grew bigger than him and we flipped it, but it's just one of those things where, they're the champs, right? And, in order to get to the places you want to go, like at some point in time, you're going to have to beat them. And it's a great challenge for us.
Well, I don't want to use the term send a message, but in a game like this, what is it that you want to say to these elite teams?
It's more about what we want to say to ourselves. I'm not really concerned with, one game and what they feel, but I want our guys to believe that they can. And this gives us the opportunity to go show and see what we can do. And it's not necessarily going to be results driven. You know what I mean? It's about our performance overall. Can we go toe to toe? Can we make the adjustments necessary? In game, can we handle the ebbs and flows and runs and those types of things? So there's a lot more to it for us than just the results, because again, and I know you get tired of me saying this, but like, we are still learning and we still are a young team that's, trying to figure out how we get ourselves to the level that these guys are at.
That's one, Rafa.
Rafa Fernandez Vito, Cap Spanish Radio. Coach, all that being said, and aside from taking better care of the ball than that we have done for the last 2 games, and this is the 3rd time we meet the Bucks, and it's probably the first time that we're going to face them with everybody that we have available. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to make or break for our side? What do we have to do in terms of the matchups to come out with a W?
It's going to come down to the 3-point line. Obviously, they allow teams to shoot a lot of threes because they want to do a great job of protecting the paint. And then they take a lot of threes. So, our defense on the 3-point line is going to be huge, with the understanding that we can't allow them to dominate our paint. They obviously have guys who, are aggressive at getting to the paint, drawing fouls. So we have to do a great job of, limiting those, but being conscious of the 3-point line and contesting and trying to bring their field goal percentage from there down as well.